You know what else is sick?
Don't.
Music is pretty sick.
Oh my god.
What if we did a podcast on that?
Okay. Anyways, if you're new here, this is our first episode of Don't Listen to the Radio, the podcast. Thank you to Radioactive for giving us this space, this equipment, the amazing crew that's helping us film all of this. And if you don't already know, this is going to be a music podcast, and basically I listen to very soft music, to very timid music, while Kim, on the other hand, how would you describe your music? Pretty much, that's pretty much it.
That's how my music works,
Yeah,
I'd say.
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, and basically the whole point of this is to kind of try and find a middle ground with everything and
hate on each other's music taste a little bit. I don't know.
But still try and just understand each other's genres, and maybe some of you will learn something new with us as well.
To teach each other, and if anyone is watching, to love each other despite
The differences.
Yeah.
Okay, good message. So this is our first episode, as I have already said, so we have a theme. Would you like to present the theme for today?
The theme is, it was my idea, if I remember correctly, I think.
Okay. I'll remember this.
How did we get into music? I asked you that and you didn't want to say anything. You said it's a great idea, I'm going to talk about it on the podcast, but I'm not going to tell you anything. So I don't know how did she get into all this music, but she's gonna tell me now, so I can't wait to hear that.
Okay, so in short, we're talking about our firsts when it comes to music, how we actually
Lost our
music virginity.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I think this is interesting because both of us started in a similar way with music, with similar genres, but we went totally opposite ways at some point, basically.
We did.
Well, I first started listening to music like intensely thanks to my parents. I think most of us actually developed their taste from the parents.
From our dads who were like into that.
Yeah.
Listen to this, son. This is some old school, not this new music, you kids.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that's how it started, I think.
Yeah, for me too, because my dad, he loved rock. He loved also reggae. He liked to experiment with music, basically, just like we do. But back then, it was a lot different, especially here on the ex-Yugoslavian territory, where ex-Yugoslavia music was so popular, especially rock music. And I think all of our parents grew up listening to that.
Oh, it was the norm, like back in the 80s when our parents grew up in Yugoslavia. Everything was rock and roll, everything was new wave, everything was loud, noisy, and it was good.
Yeah, but I don't know, he did stray away a lot from XU and then moved on a bit to specifically international rock.
My dad's kind of different. He knows like 2 international bands, and everything else is just homemade rock and roll.
Oh, okay. Well, then on the other hand, you have my mom, who loved pop music. She loved ABBA. She loved Prince. Everything that I listen to today, basically.
Okay.
So I guess that's where my mixture of genres comes from, because I had to listen to a lot of rock and roll, but then also a lot of pop from my mom, especially 80s pop, like disco music from the 70s and 80s. I still love that. And that's kind of where it began for me, I think, because I started to research myself eventually when I got my first computer and everything. I know you mentioned this as well, that it wasn't until you personally started researching music you didn't find
you didn't really know what it was that you like about some genre of music until you go out on the internet, and we got internet pretty late here in the Balkans. I mean, and then the first time you go online, you go to YouTube, to anywhere, and you type in all those bands and you find so much more similar bands, and that's I'd say how you start to develop your taste.
Yeah.
Because there's something that you liked about it, but you don't know what it was, and you want more.
Yeah.
That's how it started for me.
Well, yeah. Well, not to mention, well, to be honest, I don't think any of us Googled, I don't know, Iron Maiden or
Yeah, I
something
didn't know
like
what
that.
Iron Maiden was back in the day.
When we were kids, the first thing you would Google was like cartoons or cartoon music, or like the kids' music that you learn in school to listen to it. And then eventually you kind of stumble upon, because even back then YouTube was a mess when it came to like recommendations.
Yeah, I mean this is like the second step, but we're still talking about the earliest, the beginnings.
Yeah, because even thanks to that, even thanks to YouTube being a bit messy, it's what actually helped us discover new genres, new artists, bands, even if it was by mistake on their side, let's say.
I remember there was this site called Taste something, where you type a thing that you like, and it gives you similar things, recommendations. I found a lot of good bands.
Wait, is it just like for music or?
No, for movies or I don't know. I know it was music and movies, TV shows.
Oh, okay. I didn't know about that.
I haven't used it in years, though.
Maybe it doesn't even exist.
It used to exist.
It should exist because it's a really good idea.
Yeah, it was pretty. I'd say it was popular. I don't know.
I haven't.
I don't remember. I remember it was Taste something, and I think it was blue. That's all right.
I don't know. I don't remember that. Maybe we just didn't. I just didn't use it. I don't know. So how about you? Like, how did your parents influence your taste of music?
Well, for me, it was a case. I mean, it still is a case. I don't live in the city. I live a bit on the outskirts. Yeah, the suburbs. So my dad was always driving me everywhere. Even when I was like 4 or 5, when I went to kindergarten, even before school, he was driving me. And while he was driving, he was always listening to the same music that he grew up listening to, like back in the 80s. Always the same bands, always the same playlists. He never actually listened to the radio, funnily enough. But he had a lot of his... is it okay to call them his own mixtapes or whatever it was?
Yeah.
Oh, and his in his car, and a lot of CDs, different albums.
All the boomers are triggered right now. How did you know what's a mixtape?
Yeah.
You're too young to know what it looks like.
He had a lot of CDs. He collected them. I think every parent. I don't know if it's internationally like that, but here in the Balkans, every parent, like back up until maybe 2010, had a CD full of a car full of CDs.
Oh yeah.
Like my mom still has like a dozen CDs in her car.
Even though she
doesn't even have a radio in her car anymore, but she has the CDs.
Yeah. Like it's like how every household has a big bag filled with smaller plastic bags.
Yeah, it's just something that we do. So for me, it was that was the way I first started to actually listen to any sort of music, and to learn my first songs, and so on and so on. I'd say my first favorite band when I was a kid was Zabranjeno pušenje, or translated
Forbidden Smoking.
No smoking. Yeah, Forbidden Smoking. No Smoking, which was a band from Sarajevo.
I don't know.
And they were formed in like I think 82, 83. And they played like they were essentially like a punky band. Not really. I mean, their lyrics were quite punky, which got them into some trouble with the Communist Party in Yugoslavia and stuff. But the people really liked them, and they were the part of the so-called new primitives scene that was coming together at the time in Sarajevo. And my dad really loved that music, and it's really punky, it's humorous, it's about having fun essentially, and about being yourself. And that band was for me it was about telling a story. You know, the whole band, they had a lot of stories. I mean, they still make music. I mean, it's a different singer, a bit of a different lineup, but they always had great storytelling, and that's what I liked. And they were a funny band, and they were like my first favorite band back when I was a kid.
I don't know. No, like now when I think of it, I don't think I had any real contact with XU music until a bit later on in life. Because, I mean, my dad loved XU music, but I didn't get a chance to listen to a lot of it while I was really, really young. I think I started listening to it when I started researching music later. And then I found out, okay, there are a couple of bands that I like, and like just a bunch of those like mainstream songs where whenever there's a party and someone with a guitar,
everyone plays the song.
Everyone has those songs. And that's also how I kind of picked up on them. In my household, like foreign music was more popular than our.
Yeah, as I said, it was my dad's taste.
Yeah.
It wasn't really mine. But I love the band. I still love especially the thing is, it was it's a different band now.
Yeah.
And while he was growing up, they had like maybe four albums in the 80s. And then during the war they weren't playing, and after the war they kind of reformed, got a new singer and all that. And he doesn't even listen to that anymore. It's all about the stuff when he was young.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's somehow it's the same for me. I don't like the new stuff, even though their new stuff is just as popular. They're a big band here, but I prefer the older stuff.
Oh, because of like the nostalgia
No,
effect?
not just the nostalgia. Like I wasn't alive when it came
yeah,
out, but yeah, it's what my dad played, and it's how I came to love the band. And I don't think it's the same band anymore. So.
Well, I mean, I can't really say much because I haven't gone that deep into the whole band
Into
and
the
their
zabranjeno
discography.
pušenja lore.
I haven't really researched that much about them, but if you say it is,
The first album was Das ist Walter.
Okay.
It came out in like early 80s, I think, and it was something new in the well, I can't say really the entire Yugoslavia, but in Bosnia it was definitely something new when they were singing about anarchy, and they were getting a bit political in a humorous way, but still political, and that was something new back in the day. Like bands just couldn't do that, and I remember they had a controversy because of their amplifiers.
Okay.
Marshall amplifiers.
Oh, okay.
And Marshall died. And like a year or two before that, Tito, the Marshal of Yugoslavia, died. And they nearly got their career cancelled because of that statement. Like, because their amplifier was Marshall.
Okay.
Yeah, it was communism is not good, kids. Don't do communism.
I can't. I don't comment on that. I don't know. When it comes to me, the first artist that I still listen to, and I know you hate this artist. You hate her voice so much.
Who is it?
It's Janis Joplin.
I don't hate her voice. I just think she sounds like Marge Simpson. That's it. I mean, she's good. I like her music, but I think she sounds like Marge Simpson.
I wish Chola was here. Our guy Chola here would criticize him so much.
Is the rock and roll boomer of this establishment? Yeah.
No, my dad really liked hippie music, and my mom really liked it as well. And they used to call me like a little Janis Joplin when I was really young because I always wore such clothes. Like
you still do.
I still do
You
because
live in
I
the
really
70s.
like it. I really like that style, and I was a dirty kid. I used to just play around in dirt all the time, and I looked like a hippie. So that's when they always referenced me to Janis Joplin. So when I grew a bit older, I was like, well, let me research what is she actually about. Like, why do my parents know about her? And then I just fell into this big hole of Woodstock and the hippie culture in general, and her as well as just a person. She was born in Texas, by the way, which I had no idea. She is part of the 27 club, so she died when she was 27.
I know.
Sadly, because of an overdose.
Like most of them.
Like most of them, yeah.
All of them, I don't know.
And most of them were musical geniuses and icons in the music industry. Most of them. Not all of them, most of them. And the interesting thing is that not a lot of people describe her as a typical rock singer. They say she was like a blues, soulish, funk
that's what I liked
singer.
about her. I think someone said or wrote about her. She was a white woman with the voice of a
black woman. Yeah, a lot of people said that about her. Plus, she was so tiny. She was a really tiny woman, and then she has this huge voice come out of her when she sings live on stage.
Yeah, it was a powerful voice.
Definitely.
Homer.
Oh my god.
It's gone. But a funny thing. You said we had a similar taste.
At the beginning.
Yeah, you were a hippie and I was more of a punky kid. What was it?
Was it? Is not punky.
It's punky, not punk.
It's not. It's not. It literally sounds.
I will
if
literally
you played
fight
a song from Woodstock and zabranjeno pušenje, it would literally sound the same.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
Maybe it would sound the same.
Producer, please tell me I'm right.
Maybe it would sound the same, but the lyrics, the lyrics, the ideology behind it.
Do you even know what Janis Joplin sang about?
Mercedes-Benz.
Oh my god.
I don't know. I know that's one song where she screams about things. I don't know.
Oh my god.
I know like 2 songs from Janis Joplin. That's it.
And you're stating this hard opinion about her when you've only listened to 2 songs.
No, I'm stating this opinion about you and I, where you're saying you was a hippie kid. And I wasn't a hippie kid.
For me personally, I like XU rock. Sounds a lot like the music you could hear Woodstock, in the 70s in America.
Well, most of the XU songs, I mean a lot of them, were just rip-offs of popular songs from all around.
Yeah, which were usually a rock and roll type of vibe.
It was all rock and roll.
Yeah.
There was no other... I mean, there was other genres, but... rock and roll in
was very popular.
Yugoslavia was literally because we didn't have the blues scene in the world in the 50s, maybe 40s. We didn't have that. We had that old boring movie music up until maybe 70s. Yeah. And then we had rock. We did have some artists.
I mean, we were always late
there's really
to the trends, so...
And then the rock was really the first genre that was cool in ex-Yugoslavia.
Apart from pop and...
Yeah, but it was pop rock.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, it was never anything else. We did have folk music. We always had
folk music. I mean, we still have it. It's the main
music.
Thing that sells here.
It's the best thing ever. If you don't know about it, check out Balkan folk music, turbo folk especially. Everything is a banger. You're gonna love it. And
talk about Janis Joplin and turbo folk at the same
Janis Joplin
episode.
What was she singing about?
Oh my god, she was really known ever since she was a kid that she wanted to fight basically for black rights at the time because she was one of the rare white women who sang blues. And she just loved the black culture and what it contributed to music. I know a lot of people will now say oh, that's cultural appropriation or she's trying to steal the black culture, but it's not.
Back in the day, it was different.
Yeah, it was definitely
we sound like
different.
Boomers, but it was different. Back in the day, you could
do anything basically.
Just do anything. It wasn't wrong to help someone.
Yeah.
Today, it wasn't the mob mentality.
It wasn't. People weren't as sensitive today, basically.
Yeah. They had it much worse than us.
Yeah.
But they weren't as sensitive as we are today.
Yeah.
Which is funny to me, but to each their own.
Yeah, and she just really was a big activist on just human rights in general. Most of her music do talk about like heartbreak and losing the love of your life and going through like toxic relationships, which not a lot of people actually sang about toxic relationships back in the day, like in the 70s.
you had the whole blues thing.
I mean, yeah, but it wasn't like toxic relation. It was just like, oh, like my heart is broken because this person loves somebody else and things like that. Well, this was
Johnny
genuinely...
Cash sang about toxic relationships.
In the 70s?
Or in the 60s.
I don't know
Maybe
a lot
even
of his
before that.
songs.
When did he start? Like,
I don't know. He's old.
He started like early. And I know a lot of his songs, and he does talk about that. Maybe not literally in the sense that
it's a general
but
toxic
he does talk about toxic relationships, and that's something he did way back in the day.
I mean,
but I get what you're saying from a woman's perspective, and
yeah.
from someone who was a member of the whole new hippie thing.
Yeah. It was different back in the day. It was something new that nobody else did. And sadly, she was mostly remembered for her drug addiction. She did a lot of drugs, not just psychedelics. Well, not just psychedelics. She was known as the speed queen at one point. She did a lot of heroin. I think she died of the heroin overdose in the end, actually.
Okay.
They found her in her hotel. She was supposed to have a gig, actually, and they found her dead in the hotel because she didn't show up to the gig.
Rest in peace, Janis Joplin, I guess.
Rest in peace, Janis Joplin. And, like, she inspired a lot of musicians today, especially women musicians, like, with powerful vocals, because she did have a powerful vocal. For example, Pink. She is known as being different in the genre that she makes and being like a
Pink
strong
used to make
woman.
like emo music in the 2000s. That was a thing that happened.
Also, Stevie Nicks.
I have no idea who that is.
Do you know about Fleetwood Mac?
I have some idea who that is.
Okay. Google her. God, you need to have at least a general knowledge about these people.
I like powerful female vocals.
She has a powerful.
I don't like the music, and I came to listen.
She made rock. She made rock music.
Well, I don't know about.
Okay, you know Florence Welch from Florence and the Machine. I played them to you a lot.
Yeah,
and you don't like her.
I heard.
But she has like a unique style of singing as well, and she said that she got that inspiration from Janis Joplin.
Oh, well then fair enough. I remember this is the one with the hair.
What?
The Florence and the Machine thing. I think I remember what you're saying.
What you're saying.
Remember the last year's album from Anna von Hauswolf, I think it was.
You mentioned her to me a couple times, but I've never.
I think you
really listened to it.
You even sent me a song by her, and you were like, I like this. That type of vocal, it's like haunting. It's really powerful, but in that sense, you know.
But it's not too powerful that you can't listen to it.
I think I can blame myself for that, for not knowing those, because I went pretty hard, pretty early on. My music went to screaming.
Yeah.
Way early.
Like in general, you lack a lot of general pop culture knowledge, although you dominate in the knowledge of the genre that you like.
I live in the underground.
Yeah.
I thrive in the underground. Yes.
Okay. So how did you go from zabranjeno pušenje to the music?
Well, it was
at
the beginning there was zabranjeno pušenje. And so as I was growing up, there was this WWE, the wrestling, and there was the Triple H. What's his name? The guy.
I just saw him as Triple H.
Yeah, and okay, I liked him. He was the guy with the sledgehammer. He was tough, you know. I was in middle school. We all watched that. It was fun to us as kids. And his theme song was by Motorhead.
Oh, okay.
And that's how I found out who Motorhead is. And I knew that one song, I think it's called The Game. It was the heaviest thing I ever heard, of course. I liked it, I had it on my phone. And sometime after that, I got internet. Finally, I'm in middle school, everything is going great. And there was a game we all played at my school, especially me and my best friend. It was called Need for Speed Most Wanted.
Okay.
And it had
Can't relate, I didn't play that.
The best soundtrack ever, and I blame that soundtrack for my music taste.
Okay.
Like forever. Do you want to know what was on that soundtrack? There
What
was
was
a
on this?
lot
Okay.
of good stuff.
What was on the soundtrack?
Okay, first the good stuff. Bullets for My Valentine was there.
Oh god, okay.
That was the first time I heard like actual screaming, harsh vocals in a
Okay.
song, and I fucking loved it.
I can't. I
was
tried
still a-
listening.
I
I really
was still a
tried
kid.
listening to
I mean,
Bullets for My
they're
Valentine.
pretty tame. I mean, they're emo as fuck, but they're good.
I can't.
They were good. They're good. Okay.
Okay.
Bullet for My
Okay.
Valentine is good.
Okay.
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 Then there was Static X.
I've
Have
never
you
heard.
Static X was like alternative metal or industrial metal. The thing that was born in the 80s.
I don't
didn't
even know
really
what that
last.
sounds like. I've never
Uh,
heard of that
You heard
subgenre.
Marilyn Manson?
Yeah.
Rammstein?
Yeah.
Something like that.
Okay.
No, not really. Maybe a bit softer, but.
But Rammstein and Marilyn Manson sound nothing
But
alike.
they're actually the same genre. Of metal.
How?
Yeah. Well, it's industrial metal.
But it doesn't. Okay.
Well,
Continue. Okay. Like this is a
the
different.
intricacies of industrial metal.
Yeah, this is a totally different.
Okay, they were somewhat industrial, somewhat alternative. New metal, you know, new metal.
No idea.
Corn.
Oh, okay.
You know, Korn.
Okay, I don't know the
That's new metal.
genres.
You know, Disturbed,
Yeah.
new metal. So Static X was something like that, and they also their singer died from an overdose like a few years back.
Wait,
Just
was
like
he
Janis Joplin.
27?
No, he was older, I think, and he had like this really funny hairstyle. I remember seeing the video. He had like all his hair like just fucking up
Like a
all the
mohawk?
way. No, like all he had the entire of his head. All his hair was like just
Oh my
up
god.
like.
Look like Marge!
Yeah, like Marge Simpson. So I mean,
Okay.
the man died, and I'm making fun of him.
Oh my God.
God's gonna get me for this one. Anyways,
You made fun of Janice.
that funny guy had a really good voice and made some really good music, and I think I really liked the band. It was catchy, but it was still heavy. They didn't scream; they were singing mostly.
Were they from the States or?
They were from Illinois, I think. I'm not sure. They were from the U.S. And after that, there was Disturbed. Had a track on there. It wasn't really a popular track, but it helped me understand what Disturbed is. I wish I never discovered them, but
Why?
I mean,
Like, for someone who doesn't usually like that genre, Disturbed just
well, that's the thing. Like, no,
is amazing to me.
Everyone that doesn't like metal likes Disturbed.
Yeah,
And everyone
okay,
that
yeah.
likes metal hates Disturbed.
Okay, I can get
And
it.
they're like a metal band. Like
okay.
a friend of mine said about Disturbed, it's like when you take all the most basic, you know, uninspired stuff about heavy music and you put it together, you get Disturbed. And I'd say he's very right about that.
Okay.
I mean, they had. I can't say they have good songs. They have good moments sometimes. You know, they have some catchy riffs or something. But overall, as a band, I really don't like it. I don't know.
After a short break, we shared space with some other people and organizations. So if you hear something muffled in the background, it's not us. So
Yeah, definitely not. So we're in the front ground.
Yeah,
background,
definitely.
not in the background. Anyways, Disturbed bad.
yes,
We don't like Disturbed here. We're elitists. We don't like metal that's popular. You know, pop music bad.
Okay.
Okay, we were at the
Yeah, you were
Most Wanted
saying, yeah.
soundtrack. the syrup was there. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that big. Also, a band that I really liked, especially later on, Avenged Sevenfold. Mm-hmm. They had a song on there. It was called "Blinded in Chains," and it was a banger. It was great. It was amazing. The whole album was great. The newer albums were even better. Mm-hmm. Really liked them. Mastodon was on there, the band, which was a little weird to me because they're like a progressive-ish thing. Stone, not really stoner, but it's a weird band. It's good. It's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know how to describe it.
I don't think I've listened.
They're like pretty popular.
I know about them, but I've never like sat down to listen to a specific song. Yes, clapping.
People are clapping in the background.
Avenged
yeah, they
Sevenfold.
like Mastodon. Yeah. Anyways, Mastodon was great. I already talked about Static X. That's pretty much it, I think, from the soundtrack. But that's when it all came to me, you know, the expression through screaming and heavy music, and really like.
So basically,
where
those were the things that led you to research deeper.
Well,
into
yeah,
more
I
specific.
think Bullet for My Valentine was the thing. Even my best friend at the time really liked them, and he was like, "Hey, did you hear the song?" And then there's a new song, and they're all screaming. But it's really, at the same time, it's really melodic. It's catchy, but it's, I guess, extreme music.
Okay.
So that's how it started for me with Bullet for My Valentine.
Okay, so that was like a.
That was like
a segue
back in middle school.
in music
yeah.
for you. Okay. I don't know. I think I kind of sticked to the same genre-ish with which I started. Like, as I already said, Janis Joplin, like hippie music, Woodstock. Of course, because of Woodstock, I discovered many other artists like Jimi Hendrix, The Who. Oh my God, stop it. And many other artists in the same genre. But then I started digging deeper, especially because of YouTube and the recommendations and everything like that. And I came across a band that was very different and still is pretty different.
Okay.
And the person that hyped me up the most about this band was my dad again, because he discovered them as well. And it was Gorillaz.
I knew it.
I really struggled to find like what specific genre they are, because everybody describes them differently. Some say it's pop, some say it's pop rock, some say it's hip hop, some say it's rap, some say it's indie, alternative. Then the subgenres of rap, alternative, indie, and all of that, because they really are so
Undefined.
colorful. Yeah, like they do everything and anything, and they did come together in 1998.
Okay.
Like Damon Albarn and the
guy
artist
from, the guy
that
from
I
Burr.
cannot remember. But I think the first debut album was in like 2001.
Or was it 2000? No, maybe even
2001.
before,
No, 2001.
You sure?
Yes, because I read about it last night.
Okay, fair enough.
So 2001, and I have to say, the first album is not my favorite. I like Demon Days, the second album, a lot more.
The first one was Gorillaz, the album.
I think.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I know that one.
And I just remember this scene of my dad, my brother, and I sitting in front of the computer and watching a live concert of the Gorillaz, and it was for the Demon Days live tour, and that was the first tour where they showed their faces. Like,
okay.
You didn't have them hidden
You
behind
didn't
the
know
background.
who they were.
Yeah. And I remember crying for some reason as a kid while watching, because I was just so happy, like, yes, finally. Even though I didn't really understand the concept of a virtual band, because I don't think we have many. Are there like any other virtual bands today?
Dust Clock. It's a
What's
virtual
that?
band.
What's
It's
that?
you know the TV show Metalocalypse.
Oh,
The Brutal one. Yeah, like
okay.
they're just like Gorillaz, but they're a virtual band, but they're metal.
Did they first start being a virtual band and then have the TV show, or did they become a virtual band from the TV show?
I think they were a band, but I'm not sure.
Because that's a bit different then.
I'm not sure, but they are a virtual band.
And I know that the Gorillas are in like the Guinness Book of World Records for the best virtual band, which back in the day they were like the only virtual band.
The only virtual, not the okay.
Well, but then when they received the award, because it was like early 2000s.
Fair enough. Crazy Frog is a virtual artist. I mean, it's a thing that existed.
And I don't know, like, especially because they're still releasing music, and they have so many collaborations with different artists. They led me to the indie genre, let's call it.
Okay.
Because I really didn't know how to describe my taste in music, because
it was Gorillaz, the undefined.
Yeah. And then I started listening to similar sounding bands and artists and things like that also experimented with their sound. And usually people put them as indie music, because I guess it's like an umbrella term, and
I mean, to me, indie as a term, it's like pop music that's not popular. Like you're playing. Essentially, you're playing pop music, but you're not in the top 40.
Yeah, something like alternative pop.
I mean, it's not literally like Taylor Swift pop music, but it's pop.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
Yeah, I think even one of the genres that they described Gorillaz as was like bedroom pop, which I don't really hear it.
Have you heard bedroom pop?
Yeah, but I don't really.
There's a bit of that, I'd say.
Again, it's really hard unless you listen to each song that they have released. You can't.
Yeah, you
because
don't.
Every song is different. So.
I mean, there's bedroom pop, then there's dream pop,
Surf
then there's
pop.
I don't even know at this point.
Pop,
Ambient
rock
pop,
punk pop, everything. There's so much.
Wasn't it pop punk? I mean,
they changed it. That you can have it in. It's like depending on which genre is more.
My pronouns are pop,
dominant.
punk, pop.
Yes.
Oh, okay then. Fair enough.
Okay.
So after Gorillaz, indie.
Oh yeah, Gorillaz. I discovered the indie genre. Although today, when you say indie, people think of that like very, very specific female voice, like that Lana Del Rey has or Billie Eilish today, and you know that like it's not sultry. It's not. It's really like the typical indie girl voice. I know what you mean, like
but
the stereotypical indie girl voice and way of singing, the way they pronounce the words, and they like to kind of loop the words when they sing it. You know the Vine, the guy in the kitchen, like avocados and bananas.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, like that. But to me, I usually stray away from those types of vocals because I don't find them that.
I mean, are they really indie? They're like.
They say it's like
music.
the indie, like unique voice. Like everyone says that artist has a unique voice, even though they all sound the same at the end.
Yeah.
Because it's a style of singing that's popular currently, that's selling basically. But indie does not necessarily have to be a popish sound. There's a lot of indie bands that sound a bit more like rock music, like softer rock music.
I mean, there is indie rock.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
And thanks to that, like I discovered, like thanks to Gorillaz and listening to that type of music, for example, I discovered Tyler the Creator, who's like nowhere near the Gorillaz.
Indie rap.
But he sounds like indie rap. Well, his newer music sounds like indie rap. His older music is like straight up hip hop rap. Thanks to that, I also discovered Kali Uchis that you don't like, because for some reason
who the hell is
Kali Uchis? She did a song with Gorillaz. She does a lot of songs with Tyler. The Latina.
I have no idea who you're talking about.
You mentioned several times that you don't like her.
I am a boomer and I don't remember. Okay.
And just different artists that collaborate together that I found through Gorillaz, I started listening to them as well today.
Did they have a song with MF Doom? I think they did. Yeah, that was.
I think they did.
That's how I found out about him, but I never really got into it.
Oh, also, what really made me stick to Gorillaz was watching the live performance of Gorillaz and Madonna. Even though they were both projections, like not even Madonna was there. She was a projection together with the Gorillaz, and then later on came on stage as her real self to dance.
Who was actually there? what was even going on?
They were like, what's it called? A holograph? Just
hologram?
on stage. Oh, hologram, yeah.
Yes.
What's a holograph?
I have no idea.
No, holographic, that's the word I was looking for, but that's
it was like a hologram.
Different. And there's a part where they sing Feel Good together. And Madonna is like dancing next to them and like grinding on Russell for some reason. And then that part stops and she walks out onto the stage where it's the live Madonna with her dancers. They're singing and dancing together. I think it was like an AMA or VMA award.
I haven't seen it, so.
That's basically how I.
How you found out who Madonna is?
No, I knew about Madonna because my mom, again, she loved pop music, so she played Madonna a lot. But that's how I came into discovering artists that can't fit in a mold of a genre, basically, because they all experiment with their sounds.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
That's basically how I strayed from Janis Joplin and Woodstock to experimental-ish indie.
And when are you going to go
music.
deeper into the experimentals? Like, you know, there's this group called Death Grips. I don't know if you heard of that.
I don't want to. I tried and I don't want to. I know our editor will be very mad.
Hey, go full experimental, and nothing can stop you.
I can't. I really tried listening to Death Grips, but I can't.
It's not made to be listened to, I think. It's an expression, but I wouldn't classify it as just casual music, especially some of the newer stuff. Like old stuff, okay, it was rap with glitchy sound effects. And now it's just, how do you even...
Yeah.
But fair enough, I guess.
It's too abstract, let's say, for me.
Here's a suggestion for you. There's an experimental band, or I think they do a bit of pop, called Shushu.
Okay.
You know?
No.
Yeah, it's weird. It's
Shushu,
really
like a shoe or shoe.
No, as in I don't know
shooing
how.
Away.
It's a spelling thing. I don't know. I'm gonna send it to you. It's kind of experimental. I don't listen to it personally. You should check it out. So after I found out about all the basic bands from the soundtrack, my dad showed me like Iron Maiden and Deep Purple, but Iron Maiden was the metal band that he showed me, and it was downward spiral from there. It went from Iron Maiden to Metallica to Motorhead to thrash metal.
But Metallica isn't metal.
What do you mean? They're a metal band.
No, that's your statement. I'm quoting you.
No, I
said Metallica is not a metal band when we discussed it before.
No, you told me that someone said that.
No.
They are a metal band.
Oh my god, I'll pull up the chat. Don't make me do it.
Pull it up. Let me see. Let me see it.
Okay, you talk while I find it.
Okay, Metallica is a metal band. Anyways, I discovered thrash metal. And I discovered metalcore. And metalcore was my first contact with the growling and screaming and the really extreme stuff. And with time I wanted more and more and more, and it ended up with death metal and deathcore and some really...
What's the difference between deathcore and death
well, death metal is...
Like what's core? When you put core...
Hardcore.
Oh.
It's a hybrid. Whenever something has core, or mostly, means it's a hybrid of some genre of metal and hardcore.
Okay.
For example, deathcore is a mix of death metal and hardcore. It's basically just death metal with hardcore breakdowns.
Okay.
When you break it down, see what I've done there.
I didn't.
Anyway, and death metal is just thrash metal on steroids.
Okay.
And it's extreme. It's very extreme. It's not for anyone. I
I'm
liked
too
it
lazy to scroll.
because there is no evidence I ever said. I did talk trash about their drummer.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, and I asked you, do you consider Metallica metal music?
And I didn't
you
answer.
said no.
No.
And if they had a better drummer, then
They
you
would be a better
consider
band.
No, you
I
said
never
metal.
said anything
You
like
said-
that.
Okay. I'll
You
post
have
this-
no
I'll
idea
po-
what you're talking. Pull up.
I'll post the screenshots when I get home.
There's
on
no
our
screenshot.
Instagram.
I said their drummer is terrible. He's really bad, and they're living on old songs. Like
Okay.
they haven't made anything good after the Black Album, and that's something I would fight to death to
Okay.
prove. And they made okay things, like average things, but nothing was good.
Okay.
Like nothing above average.
I mean, I never
After.
liked Metallica to begin with. I tried listening to them, but
I mean,
just
it's
couldn't get
it's
into
it's
the-
good for
their
what
sound.
it is for back in the day, but like I'm not saying change is bad, but they really didn't. I don't think they knew what they were doing. Like Black Album was different than what they've done before. It happened that it just happened so
Yeah.
that people at the time liked it. That the whole new genre was coming. Like that's when the alternative metal started and all that in the 90s. So it fit. But after that it was just not good.
Okay. So what bands?
Bands, as I said, my dad showed me Iron Maiden.
Like,
That's
but what
how it
about
started.
now? Like, what are your now
Well,
favorite
it
bands?
went from Iron Maiden to like Trivium. I really liked that band. I still like them, like
Okay.
all these years later.
I think I only know like two that you've mentioned, and I've never listened
And
to
those
them.
are
Cannibal Corpse and
Cannibal Corpse is like a classic.
Aborted.
Yeah, Aborted is a good it's good death metal. Like lately, there's a lot of good death metal, a lot of good black metal, and soft music that I like. You know, like bedroom
Soft.
pop, like shoegaze, the dream pop. I'm a soft boy. You know, I like slow music, relaxing music.
No, you don't.
And death metal. That's what I like. That's what I do.
Okay. Well, I don't know. Like, it is hard for me as someone who has no touch with like the subgenres or even
Yeah,
just like the main
it's all,
genre
it's
of
all
metal.
just screaming.
It
you
all
know?
not even just screaming. Like it all the bands to me sound the same. Like I couldn't distinguish between like three bands if you put them next to each
Yeah,
other.
I mean, if you
couldn't-
asked me to find a difference between like two K-pop bands.
Yeah.
Like I don't even know pop singers that well.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
evident. There's like you can play me a song by I don't know Taylor Swift and anyone else, and I'd say it's the same
Yeah.
singer, same
Yeah,
song.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
I don't listen to it, and that's why I don't know. That's what I would
Yeah.
say is the issue here.
Speaking of K-pop, since you mentioned it,
Here we go.
it's time for it, like the end, well, current end of my musical
It's the end of the
evolution.
podcast. There's nothing after this. The K-pop will kill us all.
As I already mentioned before this, I did experiment a lot with listening to different types of music, and so I discovered K-pop. But I remember finding a video of one of our major stars here on the Balkans, Jelena Karleuša, and how she stole a lot of music from K-pop.
Okay.
And they'll play like a song that was, I don't know, made in 2009 in K-pop, and the identical song is played by Jelena Karleuša like 2 years
2011,
later.
yeah.
But I mean, we all know that this happens
Like,
regularly. It's nothing new.
Yeah, like there's a lot of that actually in
Yeah.
the turbo folk scene.
Yeah.
Like all they do is take a pop song, K-pop song, because it's
Yeah.
harder to
I mean, even recently,
recognize.
Alta Lucas did it as well with BTS. Like
Yeah,
BTS
and-
is blowing up. Like, how dumb do you have to be to steal such
And
a popular
they
song?
take the entire song, they put a bit of synthesizers
Auto-tune.
or auto-tune over it, and it's literally the same
Yeah,
song.
yeah. But thanks to that, I came then to K-pop, and then I just researched about that side.
So
not Jelena Karlausha.
subconsciously you liked Jelena Karlausha's material.
No,
and
it's
you
not even
found
her
that
material.
It's not even her. I'm gonna find the source of this material and listen to it.
I found the band Big Bang. I think you know about them. I talked a lot about them.
I know like 2 people in K-pop.
You know more than 2 people in K-pop because I talk about many of them.
Is
a
Top
lot. Yes.
the guy from Big Bang?
Yes. And another one.
Somehow.
You know one more.
Jamin?
No.
No, I know Jamin.
No, you know him. He's a fashion icon, especially to one of our.
G-Drag?
Yes.
Oh, I know. I know. I even know a song.
Yes.
From G-Drag, and was it Good Boy or something? Yeah.
Yes. And that's with Taeyang, who's also part of Big Bang. And they were the first group I really followed in K-pop because, I mean, they are known as like this huge sensation in K-pop, even in Korea and internationally. But apart from them, I also like 21. I think I've mentioned them to you before. CL, you know CL.
So it's 2NE1.
1, yes.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so it's 21.
Yes.
Oh. Yeah. CL, the one that sings Hello Bitches.
Yeah, that's her song.
How do I know that?
You just do. You do.
Okay. Basic K-pop knowledge.
Yeah. And those were just 2 major groups that dominated the K-pop industry for such a long time until like recently because 21 completely disbanded.
Okay.
Everyone went their own separate ways. They all have, I think, solo careers now.
Okay.
And Big Bang is a bit... they haven't disbanded, but most of them are still doing their military service.
Oh.
And the youngest one still has to go to military service. So it's going to be a long time.
Well, how old is Big Bang? How
Bang.
old are those Big Bangs?
Oh, they all wait, I think, until like the maximum age you can be to go do military.
Oh,
like 28, 26, 28, something like that. So, yeah, 2 of them finished their service.
Okay.
2 are still doing it, and 1 still has to go yet
to
do the military service. So it's going to be a long time since we see something new from the group.
It's basically what happened in the Yugoslavian music. Like,
yeah,
a lot of bands changed because members had to go do the.
Yeah, but the thing with K-pop is that. Well, when I say K-pop, it's not necessarily only pop music. I listen to a lot of like the rock, indie as well, rap, hip hop. It's just easier to kind of say K-pop.
I mean, there is K-rock a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they to me, in my humble personal opinion, it's like they stole the scene from J-pop. And the J-pop was the thing before K-pop. I'd say it wasn't as popular.
You never know. I mean, it doesn't have to. Maybe they started first, but Japan made it popular.
Yeah, that's what Japan was popular before Korea. There was J-pop and J-rock and
I think so as well.
Visual kei.
Again, I never got into J-pop. I couldn't. Well, K-pop was very easy for me to like.
But it's very similar to.
I know.
I mean, there
is a difference, like in aesthetics, especially, because they like different styles of clothing and just appearance-wise and everything.
I'd say Japan is grittier a bit.
Well, Japan has a lot more diversity, believe it or not, because they will actually put different ethnicities together in a group and nationalities. While in K-pop, you do have it, but it's very rare, and usually those members who are not Korean get like really discriminated, even within like the agency or from the public. Or from their native home. Like, homes, they will be like, oh, you betrayed us because you went to Korea to pursue a career, which makes no sense.
I mean...
But they're pretty patriotic. Go make
that money, who cares?
We can't say anything because everyone here leaves our country for a better life. So...
Yeah, I mean...
It's kind of the same thing.
Leave your countries, kids.
The podcast.
The podcast. No borders, no laws. The podcast.
Yeah, and I don't know, I think the thing that really intrigued me about K-pop was because the whole process of becoming an idol, as they call it, or a singer there, is so rigorous and so tough, because you'll either get casted for being good looking on the streets and start your career from there, or you have to be a trainee. So you have to go like through auditions, and if you pass the auditions, you're a trainee for a couple of years, where you have to work on a specific diet, have a specific schedule, keep up with school as well at the same time, practice singing, practice acting, practice how to act in interviews, just basically teaching you how to be an idol for your whole life.
I mean,
it's good in a way.
It's good in a way, like they're not like the Western degenerates of pop music.
Like the ones that actually become idols are like really talented, educated musicians in the end. But the thing is, a lot of them start when they're like 12, 11.
Well,
and their whole childhood is like stolen by the industry.
I mean,
basically.
Billie Eilish how old was she when she started? Like she was 14, 15.
Yeah.
Like that to
yeah,
me.
but she did it
that's
herself. You know, she makes like her own music.
Can't really say.
She didn't go through this. I mean, they didn't start making music as soon as they were trainees. You first have to be a trainee, then show you're a good trainee. Then, if you're a good trainee, you might debut in a group.
Okay.
There's a lot of trainees that never debuted, and all of their years were wasted. Basically.
but you have to be good to make music.
So that's when
Meanwhile,
you can be
in the West, we had things like One Direction that happened to music and pop
not
music.
To bash One Direction because the fans are wild.
But it wasn't good, was it?
I mean, it was just a typical boy band.
Typical boy bands.
Because that's what sells.
And that's the thing, like, you can have a boy band with, I'd say, average talent at best. And then you can have a Korean boy band with great talent and training and everything. But essentially, they're all just boy bands.
Yeah. Although it is different in the view that in Korea, most of the bands that are popular internationally are not popular in Korea. It's kind of, I don't know why, but it happens a lot. For example, I don't know, there's this group NCT. I think I might have showed you a couple of their music videos. It's a mess. Anyways, they're a lot more famous internationally, and they have a lot of international fans. Well, in Korea, there's still, it's a big difference in the following.
It's like what we're trying to do here, Leave Your Country, the podcast.
Yeah.
We're not native English speakers, but no one will listen to this here.
Yeah, and that's exactly like, for example, when K-pop songs, you have these random English phrases just put there randomly because it gets catchy.
Audience.
Yeah, it gets catchy to the international listener, and that's what actually helps the market.
I know it's like when some death metal bands actually have some understandable lyrics, like it's just the sound, pop to get the people,
I know, like, I don't know with who we discussed this, but I know even today, most Western artists, they don't really make their money off of YouTube views anymore. It's like more like guest appearances at TV shows
If you have a record company, you don't really make money from anything unless it's maybe live shows. Live shows get them a lot of money, possibly some merch.
While in Korea, it's really important how many views you have, how many people bought, like, online and physical copies. Like, there's weekly shows where you vote for your favorite artists, where they perform live, and that's how they get awards as well. Like, weekly, you can weekly get awards. As long as, like...
It's like a full-time job.
Basically, it is a full-time job. Not to mention, like,
and that's why
the charts
everything
and
is
concerts, everything.
Well done, I'd say.
You need to have it well done in order to
gain everything needs
the
to be perfect, and it needs to hit the spot.
So that's basically why I kind of dove into K-pop, and I'm still in it basically.
You support
as hardcore as I was.
You support the corporate overlords ruling over the little K-pop
No,
bands.
I hate that, and a much more
You like the music, but you don't like
the system, basically.
The system behind it.
Yeah. Because now what we see, like actually today in modern K-pop, let's call it, a lot of them are leaving their agencies and opening up their own agencies.
Yeah.
For example, Psy, Gangnam Style, he recently opened his own agency where a lot of very popular and famous artists from other companies left because they were treated so bad, and now they're having their debuts again and with the following they had before, and they're blowing up basically all over again with good management.
So it's not that dystopian,
no,
as we thought it would be. Okay, so there's hope for K-pop.
Yeah. I mean, as long as you do need to have a lot of money to to do something like that, but
to do big pop music.
Yeah.
Yes, you do need a lot of money, but also you can make it without the big money.
True. Yeah.
And the thing is with my personal music taste thing, like there's genres of music, like entire genres of music where you just don't make money.
Yeah.
You just don't make money. There's not enough people in the world that you can make money off of it. Like you can play a show, you can fill up a club, but you can't make a living by making, I don't know, slamming brutal death metal.
Yeah.
Like it's not something that gets you money. And I think that's a good thing. I wish there was a lot more genres like that, because when you're not in it for the money, you're in it because you love it.
Yeah, it's different.
It's passionate, it's different, yeah. And punk used to be like that, but used to be not really anymore. Black metal used to be like that.
A lot of genres
in a way
are just commercialized today, basically.
Yeah,
like, there isn't
everything is commercialized.
Especially those types of music that were like raw back in the day.
Yeah.
It is sad to see them kind of not go, but just change in a direction.
I mean, you had like hardcore and then death metal and then all this, and then came metalcore. Metalcore is it's boy bands that sometimes scream. You know, I'm not hating on anything, but it is what it is. Boy bands that sometimes scream and they play some heavy music, and that's like the commercial side of the extreme music. Like you had black metal bands, and you had the whole British scene and the Norwegian scene, you know, the underground and the good stuff, the stuff that had the essence, you know, it had soul. And then there's
applause in the background.
There's applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for agreeing with me.
Thank you.
And then there's like Cradle of Filth, or I don't know, those symphonic black metal bands. Like, why are you trying to make it popular? It's not meant to be, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of, I'd say we live in a great era of music.
Yeah.
I think it's really good. Every genre is doing great. There's a lot of music for everyone, for every taste, for everything.
Not to mention, like, everyone can be a musician today as well because of internet.
The best music is kept in the underground, where it can be itself. Yeah. Basically.
Yeah.
Where people can do what they want because they want it, and that's just my humble opinion.
Okay. Well, I think it's a nice note to wrap things up for this episode, because I think
that's because of the underground. Kids don't listen to the radio.
Yes. We will talk to you in our next episode. If you have any suggestions, comments, compliments, critics, you wanna...
I have no idea where this is going. She can do the thing.
That you want to leave, you can write in the comments, and we love to hear from you and to get new ideas.
K-pop.
And whatever you want us to talk about, we'll try our best to research it and talk about it in the future episodes.
Don't listen to the radio, the first show to talk about black metal and K-pop at the same time.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, goodbye. Wave to the camera. Be polite.